From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
and this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin energy.
The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, welcome to the party, Miami. Are the Canes already feeling the snub of a college football playoff poll? What to look for in the portal for the Noles? And too much on the plate of an assistant? Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Promo code warchantbogo, warchant, B-O-G-O. Buy one, get one free. Clinically proven to improve your focus, which means you're reducing brain fog, which is a real thing, everybody. This time change thing, still maybe, getting a little off of our game, if you will. Dark at like 3:30 in the afternoon. Not a fan of that. A little hyperbole. What's not hyperbole is that 7 hours of energy you're going to get from this one bottle. 260 milligrams, all natural caffeine, no sugar crash, no weird, zoomies, as the kids call it. Just caffeine, vitamins, nutrients, improve so many different facets of your productivity and your lifestyle with Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com, promo code warchantbogo. Warchant.com, ultimate Seminole sports source. FSU 1 promo code. 2 months of access for $1. Corey, if you're over on the PRB on Wednesday, maybe even late Tuesday night, Matt Lasserre confirmed a JUCO receiver got an offer. 6'7" young man. Guy's 6'7", 215.
Okay.
Let's just go ahead and let's just try to get the band back together as best we can, right? Let's just try to find the next Keon, the next Johnny, the next Trey, right? That's all you got to do. Piece of cake.
Is he productive, Aslan, at the JUCO level? Has he caught passes and touchdowns?
It's a good question. I don't have that in front of me right now, but he's at Southwest Community College, Southwest Mississippi Community College. That's Summit, Mississippi, if I'm not mistaken in my JUCO information. Interesting offers: Old Dominion, Coastal Carolina, Temple, Nevada, UTEP. So the first Power 4 offer from the Noles.
Okay.
But maybe as I tap dance and stall throughout the day, I can see if I can find something over on the JUCO website. But, practice also happened yesterday, too, if you're curious, everybody and anybody. So that's over on warchant.com as well. But all the awesome stuff from Corey Clark is usually after the game drops. You're going to want to read those columns and the post-mortem from our guy Irish O'Fell. Nonetheless, let's introduce Corey as we always do. Bring him in. What's up, Corey? How are you?
I'm good, buddy. How are you doing?
I'm all right,
Thanks for
man.
asking.
Yeah, I'm good. Just so full disclosure, we're kind of cramming everything here into a very tight window, like the Lasers, Luke Cromenhawk, and Brock Gunn will be trying to fit in against that stifling Notre Dame secondary as I get ready to head up there to South Bend, Indiana. So this show and another show all going down at once, if that makes sense. But that's, too much. I'm talking too much already, Corey. It's been 95% Aslan, 5% Corey. Not a good sort of ratio. I did want to ask you this before we dive into Florida State stuff. My bad, everybody. Had two at-bats, 2 ABs after the practice with Coach Norvell, and I wasted one of them. What were your thoughts on Tuesday night, ... when Miami, an undefeated Miami, was behind 2 one-loss teams? Deja vu, eh?
Yeah.
Funny, sad, so sad it's funny, consistency, inconsistency, or does it feel kind of right, maybe?
Are you asking me? I thought
Yeah.
you were asking Norvell.
No, I was going to ask. I couldn't ask him that because I blew my 2 questions on other things. I thought I have another opportunity to ask him a question, but it's Wife Walk Wednesday, so I forgot.
Oh, right.
This was quicker.
I would say no. The way they unveiled it just didn't make any sense to me. As somebody that's not a vested interest, I don't have a vested interest in this thing at all. Clearly, with the team we're talking about, the team we cover on a daily basis, not Miami. But why? Just rank them 1 through 12. Like to just assume that okay, they're the 4 seed, they're the 3 seed. That. It doesn't make a lot of sense to just assume Miami is the ACC champion. Like, why bracket it up like that? Which is what they did in the unveil. They're like, okay, well, Miami gets a bye. Well, no, Miami doesn't get a bye. They have to go win the game in Charlotte. They have to get to Charlotte. The whole thing is an exercise in futility and stupidity. Honestly, it's just trying to get people to watch a show. But yeah, I didn't have much of an opinion because none of it matters. SMU was 13th, right? I think.
Yes.
Yeah, well, great. If they win, they're in. You know what I mean? Like, if they get to Charlotte and win it, not only are they not 13, they're one of the top 4. That sounded like Jerry Seinfeld right there. What's the deal with that? But that is the truth. Like, if they get it, if they win the ACC, it doesn't matter if they have 2 losses, 1 loss. If they're ranked 13th right now in early November 5th, they were 13th in the poll. They might be 11th in the poll. If they go beat Miami and Charlotte, they're in the top 4. So I just didn't understand why they chose to break it up in brackets like that, because those brackets are just assuming who wins and not really the current rankings at the time. Does that make sense? Like, it's the first time they've done something like that, because they've never had this scenario with playoff football where the conference champions get automatic buys. So they're going ahead and placing the buys in those first 4, and it's like, man, we don't know. You don't know if Clemson or Miami or SMU is going to be that buy. So anyway, no, I didn't really pay much attention to it, because I know whoever wins the ACC is going to get a bye. It doesn't matter what they're ranked right now. If you win the game in Charlotte, you're one of the top 4 seeds. Right? Isn't that how that works, or am I crazy?
No, that's how it works, but I don't know if that's the way the unveil worked. I mean, I do think they ranked it 1 through 12, and then they made into the bracket of this.
They
is what
ranked
it
it as they did the bracket. They ranked it that way. Like, they hadn't unveiled everything, and they still had, like, BYU as, like, the 4 seed. They had BYU, like, matched up before they'd released all the other seeds. It was just a goofy way to unveil it. That's all I'm saying. They did unveil the 1 through 12. But what does it matter when the 11 seed, if they, Colorado could still theoretically get a bye. They're in contention. They could get a bye in the playoff. They're not even, they're not even the top 20. So that's why this whole, if you win the conference championship, you automatically are a top 4 seed. It makes this, as we saw last year, the shows in November don't mean jack squat. They really don't mean anything now, because if you win the conference championship, you're in. I think it matters for, like, Ole Miss and LSU. Those types of teams that are, I think they were 13 or 15 and 16 or
Correct.
9 and 10. I don't remember where they
15
were.
and 16,
yeah, so one of them will get in. I mean, that's how it's going to work. They might both get in, for all I know.
We'll see how it shakes out, man. Ohio State 2nd behind Oregon, who's undefeated. Georgia 3rd. Miami 4th. Texas 5th. Penn State, there they are. There they are. They're going to make it.
I told you. They got so worried and weird about that. It just didn't make any sense. The Penn State fans I'm talking about. Like, I get they're tired of losing to Ohio State. And they always lose these big games when they matter and everybody's watching when it's a top 10 showdown. But this isn't 2023. They're still very much they're going to go to the playoff. If they could probably lose another game and go to the playoff.
We turn our attention now to the Noles. Random_John. This is kind of a 2-part mailbag week, everybody, again, as I'll be traveling. He's got bullet points. He's got 5 of them. So he's producer John today, not random_John, but producer_John. Let's go with the first one, Corey. He's curious about this. This is a tough one, but he's asked it. Sometimes we shirk away. But anyhow, how many players do you believe Florida State will take in the portal this upcoming cycle?
How many?
14? Over 14 and a half?
I would definitely say over. I think there's going to be I think there's going to be an exodus that they haven't had before, and you're going to have to replace those players.
He said that a few times now, right? He was asked about tampering after practice yesterday, and then mentioned, hey, there's a lot of players here that probably will be better off elsewhere. And it's like, whoa, that's opening the door for everybody.
You can't argue with them.
Well, I know, but hey, man, you evaluated those guys, and
well, right, but you get a chance. They're not 4-year mistakes anymore.
Correct, yeah.
And it works both ways. Like, and I'm not saying that to be rude or impolite to the players, because they get to rectify their mistakes too. Like, I'm sure there's plenty of guys on this team is like, well, this was a mistake coming here, and they're not just locked in. They're just not locked in to a bad situation. They can leave now too. The flip side of that is these coaches can, ask you nicely to maybe go somewhere else, and they realize they made a mistake. Like, it works both ways now, and I don't feel bad about saying that. These players have more autonomy than they've ever had. They have more independence than they've ever had. They get paid more money than they ever have. So if they want to leave, that's fine. But, the coaches got to take care of, fixing the roster. And when you make a mistake, don't make it a 4-year mistake. Make it a 2-year mistake. What's that kid's name, by the way, the 6'7" kid?
Jordan Scott.
Oh, I was hoping it was Marcellus Jackson because I'm looking over their game, and Marcellus Jackson had 10 for 99 and 2 touchdowns in their last game. What's his name? Scott?
Jordan Scott, yeah. Jordan Scott.
I'll keep reading. They don't do box scores on this site, so I'm just reading the recaps as you're talking.
I was going to try to put that evil on you. The NJCAA has a funny way of tabulating all their stats. Yeah, I mean, with the way that he's talking about letting guys go and then bringing guys in, I'm trying to – I shouldn't say this part out loud, but I want to
okay.
I want to find out something real quick. It's been found. It's been located. So 17 transferred in this past season, Corey. 27 left the program, which that's crazy. 27 transferred out? That's what it says, though, on the On3.
I mean, some of them were walk-ons, but, yeah, something like that. And then how many kids did they bring in the high school class? I would guess somewhere around 20.
Sounds about right. Don't have that right at the fingertips.
I mean,
so that's not the question. The question is about the portal. I don't think those two things should be conflated any longer.
But those were 37 new players that were brought in this past year, right? If you count the transfers and the high school kids, it's 37-ish.
Brought 23 in, so 40.
So 40.
Yeah.
I mean, that's half your team. So I would expect this to be 50 this year, which to me means you're going into the 20s in the transfer portal. But might be more than that. Who knows what kind of kids they're going to sign in this recruiting class. So you're going to have a lot of spaces available. Who knows if you get 105 scholarship players? If that actually takes effect, then, I mean, you might bring in 35 guys from the portal, man. Like, I legitimately, there's no way to know. It's going to be a tight window here. But I'm telling you, folks, if you're not a member of Warchant, I don't understand it. But understand this. Starting as soon as the clock hits 0 against Florida, maybe before that, maybe starting this Sunday, when you wake up, when changes start to be made, maybe join Warchant. Got a great plan going on right now, a great deal, because December is going to be like a tennis match. You'll just be whipping your head back and forth. There's more news. Oh, there's more news. There's more news. There's another kid that left. There's 2 kids that came in. There's a coach that's left. Here's a hot board for the OC. It's just going to be constant, man. What a day! What an exciting time, Aslan.
It is.
I did see one of the games. Scott had 7 catches for 103 yards and a touchdown. This is not a very good football team, apparently, Aslan. Just looking at they're 1-8.
Yeah, Southwest is not one of the better programs in the Mississippi Junior College. So we've got 20 receptions, 358 yards, 4 touchdowns. That is
Where'd
top.
Where'd you find that?
On the NJCAA stats.prestosports.com website.
Okay, all right.
Duh. So, yeah, 20 catches, 358 yards, 44.8 yards per game, 17.9 yards per catch, 4 touchdowns. The 4 touchdowns, 25th in all of Division I junior college football, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Mississippi Gulf Coast is one of the better programs out there in the country, and he had 4 for 104 and 2 scores in that game, 55-36 loss. He also had a game where he went 6 for 108 and a touchdown on October 24th against Jones College.
That's right. Suck on that, Jones College.
That's right. Ray Perkins was coaching at Jones when I left Mississippi.
The Ray Perkins?
The Ray Perkins. Throw Ray in the bay.
Crazy.
Ray Perkins.
So everybody if you're young, Ray Perkins was the coach that took over for Bear Bryant at Alabama back in 83, 82, somewhere around there. Golly, so he was coaching 40 years later almost, or 35 years later at a JUCO?
It's a calling, brother. It's a calling. Coaching,
it is, you're right.
You're
right.
1983, his first season at Alabama.
Nailed it. That's just off the dome, folks. That's just off the dome.
That's right. That is right. All right, next question from producer John. What position do you believe will be filled mostly by the portal? That's a good question.
Man, here's what I would fill the most by the portal, because I don't foresee you keeping your best players at this position. And I've said this before. You probably can already know. You already know my answer is defensive line.
Ooh.
I know people want to say receiver, and I think you've got some young receivers you're pretty excited about, or that at least you think can play. I don't know what you have on the defensive line that's young that will be here next year that's proven anything. You've got Daniel Lyons, who's had some nice moments, but I don't know if he's, frankly, like a defensive tackle, it's hard to judge. He's made some splash plays. He's made some plays in the backfield, but I don't know if he's the reason on some of these plays they're hitting up the middle for 30 yards. I don't know if he's getting pushed out of the way by one guy too much. I assume we'll see. Watch 95 on Saturday night. See how he does against that line. Maybe he's got a chance to be really good. But he's the only one that's really proven anything. KJ Sampson's gotten a few reps, but nothing that stands out anyway. Who are your defensive ends? Byron Turner overdrive? Who's the other one? Marvin Jones? Assuming he comes back, honestly, he and Peyton could both come back. They probably should come back, but I don't know if they will come back. So, and I think you're probably going to lose Jackson and Farmer. They both have eligibility left, but again, I think you're probably going to lose both those guys. So, what do you have up front? What do you have? Receiver, you've got some young guys that could be something. I don't know what you look when you look at that defensive line, what you think you have there, what's been proven. And I would absolutely flood that thing with how many they bring in this year? They brought in Marvin, Grady Kelly, Lola Hea, the kid from West Virginia.
Tomiwa Durojaye.
So that's 4. They brought in 4.
Sounds about right, yeah.
And that was with a team that already had Peyton, Jackson, and Farmer coming back. So I would say you bring in 6 or 7 defensive linemen, personally.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Sheesh. Well, technically, I guess you could say what position would be filled mostly by the portal could technically be quarterback. If they go get, there's only one of those guys, and if he
100% of the starter would be a
Yeah.
quarterback. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got you. I see what you're saying.
See what I did there?
It's like Bill Hayes, the great Bill Hayes that runs Corner Pocket. That he texted me on Sunday, and he's like, I bet Florida State leads the country in 2-point conversions to touchdowns scored. The ratio.
Yeah.
Because they've scored 14 touchdowns and they converted 2 2-point conversions. First drive of the season, and then their last touchdown of the season last week. And that's not true. Oklahoma. So they've had a 2-point conversion every 14.5%, every 15%, 14.9% of their touchdowns. They convert a 2-point conversion. Oklahoma State, I looked this up, leads the country. They've had 5 2-point conversions in 31 attempts. So that's like 13.9 or whatever it is, 15-point-something%. So, but Florida State is third. They're behind somebody else. Florida State is third in the country in 2-point conversions, 2 touchdowns scored. That's exciting, right?
Will you find any solace if a team in the playoff uses one of the vaunted 2-point plays that Florida State's been successful using? If somebody busts out the Georgia Tech one, the extra point, 2-point conversion, like, will that be like, all right, Florida State's still leaving its fingerprints on this football season at the highest levels?
Oh, no. There's not going to be any solace in the playoff. I am looking forward to it, though.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I am – and I also think – I was thinking about this. I know we got to get to some questions. We're breaking it up into 2 shows, so we can take our time. We can marinate. I think if you – it sucks. So Miami would win a game. Let's say Miami wins – what's a better example? Ohio State, Oregon. So Ohio State and Oregon will play in the Big Ten championship game probably. Whoever wins that game gets a bye, which is great. You want one. Whoever loses that game gets to host a playoff game. So it sucks that when you win your conference, you don't get that what will probably be an unbelievable atmosphere of hosting a playoff game. So why not make the first 2 rounds home playoff games where the first, like the top 4 seeds this year, they host the quarterfinal round. And then after that, the semifinals are like they've always been. When you get to the Final Four, they're at 2 bowls or whatever. And then you have your championship and another bowl. So you got 3 of the big bowls still incorporated. But you get, I mean, I know Ohio State would rather win the Big Ten than host a playoff game, I guess. But, man, it's a lot cooler for the fans to get a home playoff game. Then so the reward for winning the Big Ten is, okay, you get an off week, great, and then your fans have to go to Arizona to watch you play. or Texas or Atlanta. Meanwhile, Ohio State lost the game, and they get to have a home playoff game in the Horseshoe. I don't know. That just seems kind of backwards to me. But I'm looking forward to home playoff games, is what I meant to say.
I'm looking forward to the off week, and then the week after that, a dub on the horizon, possibly against Charleston Southern, but mostly seeing everybody at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill at 5 o'clock on a Friday for the happy hour meet and greet before every Florida State home game. Fridays at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. But any day of the week, always a good call to head over to the CP, as the locals like to call it. Best wings in town, I'd like to say. Coldest beverages on tap in the town, I'd like to say. Billiards, darts, trivia nights, bingo nights, cold hard cash up for grabs, a jukebox.
Yeah.
Control the vibe inside the Corner Pocket.
Bathrooms.
Yeah, good indoor plumbing.
Yeah,
Solid
good indoor plumbing. We know they got some stuff fixed, as we found out from our guy Chris Holly. They were Bill's got to tell us when they're shut down for lunch. But they closed for lunch because they were fixing some plumbing issues. All square now, all good. And, bathrooms that work, pool tables, electronic dartboards in the back, real dartboards in the front, TVs, anything you want to watch. And I tell you this, Bill is Bill might have been the only owner, sports bar owner in the city that 7 p.m. Monday night, he made sure to have the Noles basketball game on.
My man.
You go to these other places, man, and I'm telling you, they don't even know that Florida State basketball is playing or that soccer is playing in the ACC championship game. Bill will take care of you. They'll take care of you and get your Florida State sports on.
Anything more difficult transition-wise, indoor track and field versus outdoor track and field, as much as going from real dartboard to electronic dartboard? It's a whole different skill set, I would think.
You're right, and I don't get the appeal of electronic dartboard.
Oh, I love electronic dartboard.
Why? Do they keep the score for you or something?
Yeah.
Oh, they do the math for you?
Yeah.
Did you ever bowl when you had to keep the score yourself?
Yeah. First ever bowling birthday party I went to, my guy Tori Perfetti, shout out to Tori. Big time bowler.
Okay.
Yeah, overhead projector and everything, yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I didn't. I did that too, and people that are younger than I would guess 39 have never experienced going to a bowling alley and getting like a notepad with frames on it, and you have to fill it in with a pencil. Because how do you, like, even now, and I bowled a lot in my life. You've seen me, Aslan. I'm close
rocks
to the tour. I'm like Mookie Betts.
Yeah. Phil Weber Jr.
Phil Weber. I am who you thought. What does he say?
Pete. I apologize, legend. I apologize, GOAT. Pete, who do you think you are? I am.
Yeah, I say that all the time, but I don't know how to add bowling. Like, you get 2 strikes and then an 8.
Right.
What is that?
Yeah.
Is it a 48? Is it a 38? I don't know. So, yeah. So, that was a good – but electronic dartboards, the bowling stayed bowling. It was the same game. It's the same game. They just were able to, count your pins for you. But electronic darts, it seems like it's harder to get the dart to stick.
Hey.
In my limited experience playing on electronic dartboards.
Well, you can pick whichever you want. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. CP
This was all one ad read. You're welcome, Bill. You are welcome.
It's Wake Up Warchant. It's presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Maybe one day we'll do a 1.5-minute Vitamin Energy read on a show. But until then, producer John still at the 1s and 2s. Do you believe it will be mostly starters at the G5 level that will be part of this portal class? I almost want to change it. Do you hope it will be mostly starters from the G5 level? Again, Corey, I think there's 2 buckets to choose from. One of them's not even going to be a bucket. It's just going to be a cup. Like the last one, Bozo the Clown. Remember, like they didn't get any smaller, the cups. I should take that back. They were always the same size, just they got a little bit further in distance. Remember that on Saturday mornings, WGN, Bozo the Clown, like a kid would go up there and throw a ping pong ball in something that looked like a popcorn cup. And I think the last was like, you had to get 5 in a row, and the 5th one had like a $50 bill at the bottom of it. Or just nobody else remembers this. Okay.
I do not remember that at all.
Okay.
I thought Bozo the Clown was back in the 50s.
Well, he was still doing something in the 80s.
Okay, all right.
But so, as I mentioned on the show the other day, I could be wrong on this, but I don't foresee a lot of coaches that are making the playoff this year leaving their teams, thus, quote unquote, the good player, the good teams losing players. That sort of thing is not going to be a really big, robust market. And again, I just think there's been so many collectives that have mobilized in the last 2 years that everybody's so much more better positioned to keep the talent they want. So I just don't think there's going to be a lot of elite Power 5 proven guys. But the G5 level, whatever group of 6, whatever we're calling these young men now, yeah, I'd almost rather go after guys that have produced at that level for about 2 years. Give me those Braden Fisk type guys rather than, I don't know, it worked out well with Johnny and Trey, but those seem like exceptions to the rule rather than guys that have played ball at a high level elsewhere. And they seem to have showed up at these programs and done a pretty good job. So I'd like to do that.
I mean, look, man, I think they'll change their philosophy some, but I think when you look back at the track record of the portal here at Florida State, Jamie Robinson was a starter at South Carolina. Keir Thomas was a starter at South Carolina. Jermaine Johnson was a backup at Georgia. He was in the rotation. He played, but he was a backup. That turned out all right. You just mentioned Johnny and Trey. Johnny started. Trey was a backup. They were at big power programs. They turned out all right. But then you look at, the guy, I was about to start listing off guys from this year, and I'm not going to do it, but guys in this class that came from big programs that have not been game-changing, program-changing type players. So I think there is a balance. I think there is a balance between a Fisk and a Verse. Like Fisk and Verse were from two small schools that produced a lot at those small schools. Jermaine Johnson was from a big school that didn't produce a ton. He turned out all right. Like there's different ways to do it. You just got to be better about who you're evaluating. I'm with you. I want to get – I don't want all just hope and potential. I want some that have proven it in big moments. But I also don't think – that, yeah, man, well, there's, you say that you might not get anybody from the 12 playoff teams. Well, there's 120 other teams. There's plenty of good players on teams that don't make the playoff that might be looking for somewhere else to go. And also, last year was crazy, right? Like, you think about it, if the playoff happened, if the 12-team playoff was last year, I mean, how crazy is it that, like, 3 of the 4 teams in the 14 playoff lost their head coach last year?
Yeah.
That's just because of the dominoes of Saban, and then Harbaugh left for the pros. Yes, that was very, very rare. I don't think you're expecting like, okay, Ryan Day is leaving, so let's go get all those scraps from Ohio State. That or Kirby. That's probably not going to happen. But I think you can get some. If SMU doesn't make it, some guys out there you might want. Pitt. Just teams in your own conference. Teams in the Big 12. Dion might be leaving with his kid. I don't know. Go get some guys from Colorado. Like there's going to be plenty of options from the other 120 schools that don't make the playoffs, and there's big time talent even on those teams. It's not just like it's relegated to the playoff teams. But yes, I think group of 5 guys cost less. I think you could probably buy in bulk. And maybe save some money that way. I just think I would not go and get former 5-star guys that have sat on the bench for 2 years, and that the other school isn't unhappy that they leave. They're not fighting like Kirby wanted Jermaine Johnson. Let's be frank about that. He was not all that pleased that Jermaine Johnson left with good reason.
Do we know why? I mean, like versus and. I don't want to say names. I'm going to say a name like versus Marvin Jones Jr. Like, was there something that we were aware of that tipped that Kirby didn't want Jermaine to leave, or are we just saying that by virtue of Jermaine doing awesome here?
No, I think Kirby was asked about him the following year when Jermaine was named ACC Player of the Year. That Kirby was asked about him. He's like, yeah, we hated to see him go. Now he might say the same thing about Marvin, and we would believe that or not, but it seems sincere when he was talking about Jermaine Johnson, and then he was a first-round pick. It also came up again because all those guys off that Georgia team were drafted in the first round, and Jermaine Johnson had played with them all, so I think Kirby was asked about it again during the draft, about Jermaine Johnson. So he talked about him multiple times. So, yeah, and so Jermaine just wanted more playing time. He wanted to be on and Lord knows he got it at Florida State. He went from playing 21 snaps a game to 80. So that was the reason he came. And, yeah, but anyway – so I just think there's a balance, and I don't know. I would think they'd probably, they half of one, half of the other. But who are the guys in this transfer portal class, Aslan, not counting DJ, that produced, like were productive in college? Any of them? Lolahea, he was like second team All Pac-12. I think he's the only guy that you would say that guy was a productive dude. Richie Leonard played a lot at Florida. Those were productive guys. Roy Dell, sort of. He ran for 500 yards in 14 games at Alabama. But they didn't. There were no guys that had like been the dude on any football team in college. And then I think we expected some of them to come here and just grow into that, and it didn't happen. So I'm with you. Go get a handful of guys that have been a dude, like even the guy, the JUCO kid you were just talking about.
Jordan Scott, man, come on. Future
Jordan
Noles.
Scott, Jay Scott.
By the way, he wears the number 14, and when he got his Florida State offer, he tweeted out a photo of number 14, Johnny Wilson.
If you can hold off Old Dominion and get Jordan Scott's commitment, at least that kid has had a couple 100-yard receiving games. So that's something. It's JUCO, but he's had a couple 100-yard receiving games, so at least he's produced a little bit.
So right now, the number one available player in the portal, according to the On3 portal rankings, is Donovan McCulley. Now, Donovan McCulley is a 6'5", 195-pound wide receiver who played at Indiana. Looks like he played, let me see how many games this season. 2 games this season, and I don't know what happened, but he put his name in the portal. He did have 48 for 644 and 6 touchdowns last year, before Siggs even showed up.
And he's in the portal?
Yeah, but he's the number one guy available, according to On3.
Is he from Florida?
Nope, he is from Indianapolis.
So this is how you have to why you have to do your due diligence with kids in the portal, because when I hear a kid is portaling as he's already in the portal with the team he's at is having its best season in school history, and he's decided to already jump into the portal.
Well, he did it on October 1st before everything was totally. Well, they were still doing pretty.
They were undefeated.
Yeah.
And scored a lot of points. And he might be injured this year. That might be what's going on with him, and that's why he's not playing. Seems like 48 catches, and then he's in the portal the next year. But his team is undefeated, and he's in the portal. It's like, okay, well, do your due diligence. See what in the world's going on there. Don't just bring in guys because they put up numbers on bad football teams. Like, go ask, because that would be a red flag to me. Doesn't mean I wouldn't take him. But the fact that he's already in the portal, those kids, by and large, don't really shake out that well. And the reason I'm bringing this up, because I was talking to Ira about him yesterday. Sam McCall put his name in the portal, went on Twitter and put his name in the portal after they beat Miami 45-3 in 2022. The best win of the season, maybe the best win of Florida State in 6 years. And this kid, that Saturday night or that Sunday morning, decides to tweet to the world that he's going to enter the portal. So that kid was only about that kid. He was a freshman that wasn't happy with his playing time. Okay, man, welcome to college football. He decides he wants to take his ball and go somewhere else. He goes to A&M, doesn't do anything there, and now I think Ira said he's at like Georgia State. The kids that leave winning programs, like make it a point to leave in the middle of a season, a historic season, or after a historic win like Sam McCall did, I don't know, man. Those are the kind of the guys that maybe you're not interested in. And I don't know, this didn't become what is this kid's name, the Indiana kid?
Donovan McCulley.
I don't even know if he's on anybody's radar. So I'm speaking way too long about this kid. But it goes to the overall portal. And go make sure you're getting good kids, not me first kids. Like, go get kids that want to be a part of something. I would guess that a kid that goes in the portal as his team is having the best season in school history is not maybe a team first guy. And that's just, I'm making assumptions. Have no idea what's going on with his
This is why Corey will never be the architect of a national championship team. According to our Pete Nakos, Ole Miss, Missouri, Cincinnati, Miami, Colorado, and Michigan are early contenders for McCulley.
And what's he going to do when he has 2 catches through the first 2 games at one of those schools next year?
I don't know. But hey, you know who also transferred out in the middle of a historic season? A one Winston Wright Jr. He's got 33 catches for 344 and 4 touchdowns at East Carolina right now.
Okay, Winston Wright. Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, man. So, again, not to paint with a broad brush, and I know you weren't, but the example of Sam McCall trying to offer a little bit of a counter, you never know how guys fit in. Signetti might not blend well with his personality, which that's fine. I mean, listen, Signetti's the head coach. He's doing just fine. This kid kind of realizes it. Maybe he'll fit in elsewhere better, and maybe that'd be Tallahassee.
Well, and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt in the sense that I shouldn't just compare him to McCall. I don't know why this kid is not playing right now. He might be hurt, and if he's hurt,
there's nothing about that though. There is.
He's not playing as much as he wanted to. So
yeah,
he just
after 2 games, he played in 4 of the first 5. It says.
All right, well,
but only had stats in 2 games.
He might end up being the next Jerry Rice. I'm going to go ahead and assume it might be a tough adjustment whatever college he goes to next.
He did have an upper body injury in the opener, but didn't seem to miss much time because of it. So much so. Look at just producer John just absolutely gassing us up for pretty much an entire show today. So,
are we still on him?
Yeah, it was all him. It's fine.
All right.
We got we'll do like
that's my fault. I was the one that was yapping so long.
No,
and they're good questions, and they're fair questions. So
good stuff.
I didn't know those were all him.
How about this question from Cummins Lifestyle?
Oh, all right.
Follow them on Instagram. Check out all the awesome things going on over at Cummins, especially the own-in line of products. That's the portable generators, the portable power stations, generators for your RV. Cummins, everybody. Do it. They wonder, is Alex Atkins overloaded trying to manage the offensive line coaching responsibilities and whatever offensive coordinator responsibilities he has? Seems when he was just the offensive line coach, we saw drastic improvements with that unit. Gets the promotion to OC and O-line coach. Unit declines drastically. I think it is a novel idea to retain him, but remove the title of OC. Am I grasping for straws, or is there something here? You're not grasping for straws at all. That's a fantastic question. Well articulated, well reasoned, clear and concise.
I will say this though, and this is only a small part of his job, and that's the truth. And Aslan could speak to this more than I can because he's in practice more than I am. Your boy isn't going to practice nearly as much as he did last year, and I apologize for that, but sometimes it's hard to wake up, Aslan, and you and Ira and Matt are doing the Lord's work, and being out there. And hey, I'm gonna be one of those fans later. Don't be a fan later. I'll be showing up at practice when they're good again. But wouldn't you say that his role during practice looks the absolute exact same as it did before he was named OC?
That's fair to say. Yeah.
What he does in practice is the exact same. Nothing has changed.
To be honest with you, it looks like it's even less is on his plate now that Gabe Fertitta's kind of been elevated. I mean, Gabe Fertitta might be considered like an on-field. I think he is considered like an on-field coach. I mean, by and large, Atkins is working with the tackles, and then Fertitta is working with the guards and centers. But that's like in the individual periods of practice. They get cross-trained. Atkins is not totally, relegating and delegating everything off interior-wise to Fertitta. But yeah, like in 22, it seemed like he was leaning on GAs to help him out a decent amount, but it seemed like he was chewing off a lot more back then than he is now.
I mean, but to me, it looks like his sole focus during practice is coaching offensive line.
Yes, absolutely.
That's all he's doing. And that's all he's ever done since he got here. So the OC, again, I don't think it's just straight up a title for the sake of being a title. I do think he has input in game planning and scheming and everything, but that's stuff we don't see. During the actual practice, when he's supposed to be developing and getting these players better, I haven't seen anything change. It's not like he's walking around with Norvell watching the receivers. He's only watching his guys. So the theory is fine and great. I just think when we think of developing and getting better and improving, well, that's all supposed to happen in practice. Now it can happen in the film room too, but by and large, physically anyway, all your physical improvements are supposed to be shown and worked on during practice. And his role regarding that has not changed at all. So I don't think it's affected. I don't think being the OC has impacted. Him being the OC has impacted the offensive line's development. Take that how you will.
Fair to say. Yeah, I mean, again, I haven't seen much of a difference in terms of, as Corey laid out, what he does like kind of on a day-to-day basis. Now in a meeting room, I don't know, maybe he's a little bit domed up because he is having to think a little bit more about that stuff, but they just need to get healthy and find more physically ready, apt players to go. I mean, I asked Mike about it after practice Wednesday, just because when Atkins said on Monday, you fix one thing and then another problem surfaces, how much of that is, the versatility, if you will, of all these guys, the rotations. And Mike's like, well, I'd like to stop rotating. I was like, all right. But he didn't make it sound like the whole, like, we're going to bring in Keandre in the third quarter kind of thing. It's more about he just doesn't like the fact that they don't have 5 guys healthy that they want to have healthy. So,
yeah,
hopefully they get their bodies right. I'm relatively sure if Adam Smith, the father of economics, was with us today, he would be a fan of Manscaped. Smith, as you all remember, argued things like the invisible hand and, more importantly, specialization, saying that companies are going to grow, hires are going to be made, and they should have defined roles and specialize in one skill. So, yeah, you've got some clippers, but they have a role. Manscaped has a more specialized place in a man's grooming arsenal. Some might say a more delicate role, one involving the moneymaker, to bring it back to Adam Smith and economics. How about the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra? It features skin-safe blades and a cordless design, which is kind of clutch. So get 20% off and free shipping with the code WARCHANT at manscaped.com. 20% discount, free shipping. Manscaped.com. Be him and trim. All right, Corey, on the way out, poorly planned show. My bad, everybody. Tomorrow's will be better, maybe. Who knows? It's going to be recorded after this one. Over-under winners, by the way. Shout out to Venetian Salami. He won the Miami one. And North Carolina was FSU won. I think somebody actually direct messaged me asking if they won. And my favorite is the people that always direct message me about asking whether or not they won or not. Still haven't won.
They're over.
It's never been. They've never been the person that actually won the game. So, only one perfect ballot or submission the last 2 weeks. That's made my job pretty easy. Get back in the mix, everybody. Get involved. All right, let's make this kind of snappy, Corey. You want to do like Riley Leonard rushing yards?
Oh, we're doing that now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about Riley Leonard rushing touchdowns?
That's such a small number, but all right, sure.
I was going to say plus a half or half, 0.5.
Okay.
Let me. He's had 11 this year.
That's correct.
Yeah, so just throwing that out there.
All right. You want to do Kromenhoek pass attempts or completions?
Okay.
Like one better than the other?
Completions.
All right, give me a number.
4.5.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, how many do you have last week, Aslan?
Yeah. Notre Dame's longest play from scrimmage.
Ooh, that's a good one. This team doesn't, other than
As long as it's not third and long.
it's Amari and Hampton. As long as it's not Amari and Hampton, they don't give up a ton of huge. And hey, credit to North Carolina. That last touchdown was a cool play. It's a smart play. And they caught Florida State in an all-out blitz. It was 3rd and 16. Fuller admitted to as much. He's like, I was trying to make a play there in that moment. It was 3rd and 16 or whatever it is. They leave Hampton into block for literally 2 or 3 seconds. And then he just turns around. He does a shovel pass to him. Yeah. And there's nobody in the middle of the field because they've all run like post and go routes. So, he basically has a freeway to the end zone. It's a cool play. And it happened to catch Florida State in a blitz. And then Quindarius Jones has, kind of knocked him towards the end zone. But other than that, not a lot of huge plays. So I'm going to say, I don't know that Notre Dame's a big play team. I'm going to say, how about 41.5?
Oh, all right. With all that preamble, I thought you were going to come in at like 29.5.
11? Yeah, it was 6.5.
Ja'Kai Douglas, longest reception?
How about...
He had a very nice catch, period 3 on Wednesday. About 30,
that's good.
30-ish yards.
All right. How about longest catch by a freshman?
Okay.
True
freshman or redshirt freshman?
I guess it doesn't matter. Who would that even be?
I don't even know.
Do they even have a redshirt freshman?
You never know. You never know. Who knows?
But I'm going to say, because that includes the tight ends
Correct.
and running backs. I'm going to say 11.5. I mean, if you hit most of these games, that would be way under. I'm going to say 11.5.
Keep it going. Florida State takeaways.
0. 0. Folks, they have 3 on the season. I mean, that's not
bad coaching, right? But I don't want to call it bad luck. But it's not bad. I mean,
you know what it
is?
In my opinion, is the team. Many of the teams that create a lot of takeaways. Number one, they have a very good pass rush. They get teams in the third and long. This team does a pretty good job of that. They also can play zone, and they have their eyes on the quarterback. But this team plays a lot of man-to-man. Even in those kind of situations, they do not play zone well, as evidenced by like that Miami 3rd and 20 conversion, where there's just nobody on that side of the field, even though they're playing zone. If you could play zone at a pretty high level and had some instinctual kids in the back end, they can read the quarterback. They can conceptualize what routes these guys are running and make a break on the ball. But they don't play zone worth a flip, so they don't get interceptions. And that's where so I do think that's like, yes, you can't like coach like natural takeaway ability, but you can coach zone where you create more turnover opportunities. It's not like they've dropped a ton of interceptions. There's a couple they've gotten their hands on, sure, but it's not like you can remember 8 times. It's not like they're dropping interceptions like they're dropping passes on the other end, other side of the ball. They're never even really close to making interceptions. Like really? Maybe one a game. They're like, man, if he's right there. If he just makes that extra step, he could have made the play. But no, I think some of that is coaching.
Okay. Let's give Brock some love too. Brock Glenn, longest rush.
Ooh, you know what? I'm gonna say 14.5.
Ooh,
I think he's gonna rip off a first down run.
Eat it, Irish. All right.
They haven't seen speed like this. By the way, Northern Illinois is not even good in the MAC. They're like 1-3 in the MAC. And they beat Notre Dame.
That's correct.
Just throwing that out there, gang. I'm just throwing it out there. They're a little more physical than your football team, but still. I'm throwing that out there.
Don't say that. All right, that's a wrap for us, everybody. Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 4 o'clock. Warchant Report out there. Digest it, ingest it. Coach Speak dropping later on in the week. Pre-game show at some point. Check out JCS for details on that. Don't forget the Cummins Tailgate. If you're going to be up there in South Bend, 1 to 6 o'clock Saturday, 1621 South Bend Avenue. That's the Belmont Beverage Lot. It's going to be booze. Free food, and the beverages includes booze. Got to be of age, though. Behave. High clientele. Highfalutin clientele at the Cummins Tailgate, everybody. But come on out, have fun. Ira and myself shall be making a cameo at some point, probably around 4-ish. For Corey, I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy.